Hey everyone, my name is Andrew Hess, and today let's talk about 5 different variable types in Power Apps. So we're going to talk about when you should use them, why you shouldn't use them, which ones are best for performance, and which ones are the biggest performance hit. So we're going to talk about the with function, context variables, global variables, environment variables, and finally collections or record values. So let's get into it. Let's talk about these 5 different variable types in Power Apps that you can use today. Okay, so a lot of times when we come into Power Apps, we come in here and we just create a blank app, or we create a Dataverse solution or a SharePoint solution. Now, when you're creating apps, we want you to really think about this. Is this going to have a flow attached to it? Are there other things? Is there going to be a chatbot attached to it? Are there going to be environment variables? So we'll talk about that more. So sometimes you actually want to start, and probably most of the time, you may want to create a solution. So you see a solution here on the left side. So let's create a solution. So an unmanaged solution is normally where you're going to edit, develop, you're going to kind of start building your app and kind of where you're working on. Notice managed. To me, this kind of looks like a lock. These are solutions that you don't really want to mess with as much because they're production and you don't want to break something while it's in production. So just understand that you can move a project from unmanaged to managed. It's an export, import, or you may have like a software development lifecycle that moves it there. But don't focus on all that yet if you don't understand that. Let's just create a new solution and we will say it's called Power Apps today, or let's say holidays. And the publisher is going to be me and create. So we're going to create a solution. And a solution, think of it like a way to govern all of your stuff together. You have agents, apps, cards. As Power Apps and the Power Platform keeps growing, it's going to be more and more useful to create solutions. So in here, we can create an app, a Canvas app, model-driven. We can add a flow to it. And it kind of, think of it like a box or a package. Just like, the holidays. You have a nice gift-wrapped package of all you have agents, apps, cards, cloud flows, tables. Tables would be for Dataverse. All this is together in a nice little gift-wrapped package gift for you. So today, let's start with just an app, a Canvas app. This is where I'm most comfortable. Andrew today, holidays, and I almost always start with tablet. We're going to start with the least performance hit from the variable types that we use. So think about your performance considerations. The first variable we're going to use is called width. And a lot of people don't use width, but width is a good way to organize your data, kind of visualize your data, and maybe you don't want something to become a full variable or some kind of value. And let's say we have a few sliders in here. So let me just create a few sliders. Okay, so imagine you have 3 sliders. And in here you may have price. And another slider that's maybe the discount, right? Discount. It is the holidays. Hopefully we find some nice discounts. And then quantity. Okay, so for my variables, I want discount to go to a max of 100. The price, let's say the price goes to 500 max. And the default is 0. Let's make the default zeros for everything. And the quantity, let's say the quantity only goes to 5 and the default is 0. All right, so if we have these in here, we can see this goes to 500. So this goes to a max of 100. You see the 100 there. And this goes to a quantity of 5. So let's create a text label to show this value. So insert a text label. In this text label, this is where we don't need a button. We don't need a button to calculate it this time. In this text label, I want to show my calculation. And I'm going to do this with the with function. So with what? With the base price, let's see if we can get this right. Base price of my slider 1. So I want my slider 1 is here. So slider1.value. All right, that looks good. It's green. The box is green, so we know that lines up. With the price discount, we'll just call it price discount to throw it a different variable name. Slider2.value. Okay, and then the item quantity. is slider3.value. All right. So we're saying with a record of 3 variables, my price, discount, and quantity. Whenever you see squiggly brackets, that's a record. You can see we did our scope. So think about this. If you've ever done code before, at the top of your code, you normally have variables, right? Think of it like that. You're just kind of identifying your variables in this formula at the top. So with these 3 variables, what do I want to do? I want to create a formula. And the formula is final price. The final price, I want to see what the final price is going to be our base price times the discount, but it's not just discount. So this is basic math. So it's actually 1 minus our price discount. And I believe this is probably divided by 100 because we want this to be a percentage. So out of that, it's a percentage there. And then we're going to say times the quantity, the item quantity, which we labeled it up here. All right. So we can end it here, but it doesn't know what to do. What you need to do is at the end of this squiggly right here, do period final price. And then it displays the value. So let's make sure this is nice and big. 45. Let's center it. Okay, let's play with our numbers here. So discount. Oh, quantity. Let's do 1 for now. So the price is 500. At 100% discount, it's 0. At a 1% discount, let's see if we can get it there, $5 off. So you see how we've kind of done this cool calculation. We're not storing any context variables. We're not setting any variables. We can do a quantity of 2, and then we've calculated a quantity of 3, and it's doing that entire calculation for us. So this is just some really neat math that you can do. So the discount is 90%, or how about 10%? Let's do 10% off one item of 500 is $50. So we've done this with formula, and with formulas can be very valuable. It's a good way to view the data. So you can say, hey, with my sliders, I want you to calculate final price and use these variables that I have. And this is the least intensive way to do variables in Power Apps. So if you're running into performance issues, maybe you need to think about using the with function. It can be a little confusing, but think about using the with function more often. It's going to save you in performance issues in your Power App. Now, with function does not have to be all math, right? You can use it with a text variable too. So let's do a text label here. So this text label, let's kind of give it what size font? 45. So it can easily just be some words too, right? So you could say with what? With my name. Let's do the squiggly. My name is equal to user dot full name, and then happy birthday. It's birthday is birthday, and I forgot my comma here. And we can even say happy birthday, right? And then we can display that. Display. And what do we want to display? We want to display my name. And we forgot our comma again. Make sure not to forget your commas. In the formula, we want to display my name and space. And then also is birthday. And then we can display that. And then it doesn't know what to do. We could say this is actually dot display. Andrew Hess, happy birthday. So with formula does not have to be all calculation of numbers. It can easily be with text also. Now, something to think about when you use a with formula, this is not per screen. It's not per app. This is literally calculating right there in that formula only. So if I try to display my variable somewhere else, so if I tried to display final price over here, the with formula calculates within the control. So within the field, it's calculating here. And this is the least performance hit that you're going to see is using the with formula. And it's also, to me, it's a little bit easier to read. Let's see if we hit format text. It kind of puts it like that. I think this is easier to read. It's very helpful when you start working with other people, how this will work. Instead of trying to say, you know, imagine if we said here slider 1, slider 2, slider 3, and we didn't have any variables to identify them. It's very useful to be able to see, okay, this is the base price, this is the discount, this is the item quantity, and then to calculate it. So now I want to go into using a context variable. A context variable is the next step up from with. And I'm just going to come up with a nice idea. I'm going to do checkboxes. Checkboxes. Let's see. I want 3 of them. Let's just copy paste. All right, I have 3 checkboxes. This one will be red, green, and blue. So every time I hit the checkbox, I want to change my context variable. So let's say on check, update context variable, update context. So let me make sure I zoom in here. Update context in parentheses and then a squiggly. We are going to say variable color is red. All right, so my context variable name is called varColor, and we're going to change it to red. And this is going to create some issues at first, but it's fine. We'll get through this. On check, variable green. And blue, on check, variable blue. And now let's have a value here, not with the with. Let's do the variable color. All right, so right now it's blank. Actually, we've never clicked anything. Now, when I click red, it'll change to red. But watch this. This is an issue. When I click green, it's green, but red didn't uncheck. When I click blue, blue checked. All right, so now we can kind of see how that works. But maybe for checkboxes, you want them to turn on or off based on if you check another one. So how about this? So I'm not saying this is the best way to do this. This is one way to do it, but I want you to be able to visualize. I'm going to create 3 text labels. 1, 2, 3. And this one is going to be VAR, red, VAR, green, and VAR, blue. Now, none of them have been detailed yet, but just stay with me. When we click on check on red, I'm going to update context variable red to true. Variable green to false. And variable blue to false. And I'm going to do the opposite on this one. So on green, on check, this one will be false, red will be false, green will be true, and blue will be false. And on blue, this time, blue will be true, and these 2 will be false. But now what I want to do is change the default property of each of these. So the default property is going to be VAR red. The default property of green is VAR green. And the default property of blue is VAR blue. So now watch what happens. I click on red, true, false, false. I click on blue, false, false, true. So as I click on them, I can only have one checkbox checked at a time. And my green, my text field, my varColor, which is a text, then becomes blue and green because only one value can be there at a time. This is just one example of using an update context. I'm not even sure if this is the best example, but it's just what I thought of fairly quickly. And maybe it's something you would like to do is you have a variable and it's only for this one screen, or you have multiple variables. Like for this one, we had 4 variables. Now, once again, a update context variable or context variable is only for this screen. There are ways to pass it. I'm not 100% sure. I've done it before, but when you navigate, let's say we have another screen, and I'm back and forth if I should even show this. But when you navigate, you can navigate to screen 2, and then you can do a fade, and then right here you can see it says context, an optional context record to be passed to the target screen. So you can actually pass a variable to the next screen. So I can actually pass varColor to screen 2. So now if I have a value in here, varColor, you can see that when I'm on screen 1 and I click my button, it then becomes blue. So I have passed a context variable onto another screen. A main reason that I would think that you would want to do this is if you had a ton of global variables. You have so many global variables and you're worried about app performance, and you don't want to make this variable a complete global variable across all of your screens, and you just want to pass it from one screen to the next. This could help somewhat maintaining temporary data between the screens and lowering the app performance. So I don't know. It could be useful. It's just an option in case you want to try and do that. Okay, let me move all this up. Let's move all this up. And before I keep going, let's add a little bit more. Let's combine variables. Okay, so now watch this. So now I'm going to say, so remember right here is variable blue. Remember variable blue here. So now we're going to say a new part of my with statement. If blue, variable blue. So this is a true or false statement. If blue, then you get the discount. Let's see, if blue. Oh, wait. That's funny. If blue, then you get the discount, else it's base price. See if I did everything right. So if it's blue, but maybe we'll change this to blue, or let's change it to is blue. It's a little confusing. Is blue. If is blue, then you get the price discount. If it's not, it's the base price times the item quantity. If I can spell right. So now what we're saying is, if it is blue, you get the discount. If it's not blue, there's no discount. So now watch this. So it's green, no discount. Red, no discount. Blue, there is a discount. Right? So a discount of let's see. I like the 10%. There's a discount of 10% if it's blue. If it's not blue, you get no discount. So now we've combined a with variable with a context variable. Really powerful, really cool stuff. Next step up, global variables. Now, a global variable is where I see most people kind of gravitate to because it's so easy. It's so easy to just create a global variable, right? So let's say we have another button, and this creates a global variable. this global variable is, I don't know, set my global to, and then it's a different syntax, right? So we're doing my global, we'll call it variable global, and it is happy holidays. Right, so, and then we have a field here, and this field is variable global. And when we click on the button, it then says happy holidays, right? So that's a global variable. And this is one of the most resource intensive ways to use a variable. If you are running into performance issues, you may want to think about trying to move out of global variables. And the main reason to do a global variable is it's easy. It's super easy to create a global variable. And it's also across different screens, so you can have a different screens. You avoid redundancy, so maybe you did colors, variable blue on multiple screens. It's easy. That's why you do a global variable. The reason you don't do a global variable is there's a bigger performance hit when you do global variables. So global variables are the most used that I see, and it's just because it's so easy. And with Power Apps, it's low code, no code. Just create a global variable and you got it. But now I wanted to show another variable that most people actually don't pay attention to, not that much. And that's the reason I created a solution here. So I'm going to save and I'm going to go back. Okay, so you can see now we're back in our solution, and I want to create a new, more environment variable. Now you may say, why would you create an environment variable? Maybe there is something across your entire environment, maybe like a SQL Server name, maybe like another server name, or a value of a portal to a website that maybe could change in the future, but doesn't change much. Maybe it changes once every year, once every 2 years, and you want this environment variable to be across your entire environment, but not change much. So let's say maybe an idea for an environment variable would be environment name, maybe would be like a portal. Let's say you have a YouTube like me. And maybe it's a portal to your YouTube. So I have a YouTube channel, variable display my variable, YouTube. It's a text. The default value is my YouTube channel. Now this could change. Maybe you want to move this. Maybe I get multiple YouTube channels and maybe it becomes a JSON, and then you can pull across that. So I'm just going to show a very basic environment variable, and then you can go on from there, and then I can show you how to use it. Also, let me move me. Also, so we have the default value here. We want the current value. So this is the current value per environment. So override the default value by setting the current value of your environment. So the current value of my environment is my YouTube channel. I'm going to click save. Now I'm going to go to Power Apps side. All right, we're back in Power Apps. We're going to add 2, or actually I think it's just 1. This is changing so fast, just going to let you know. The information that I found online does not match the way that I am figuring out how to do this. So I'm going to click on environment variables. I have to move me again. Environment variable values. And then in here, I have a text field right here, a text field. And I'm going to call a lookup. And what am I going to look up? The environment variable values. And what am I looking up? I'm looking up the schema. I saw it right there, the schema name. So the schema name, make sure this is refreshed just in case anything goes on. The schema name for me is test_var YouTube equals test_var YouTube. And then I believe it's value. There it is. So literally, the information that I found online did not match my research. So that's why it's important, as I was saying at the beginning, that I'm kind of going to start labeling, okay, we're kind of in the holidays of 2024 right now. We're going to 2025 soon. So things are changing so fast. So if you find this video in the end of 2025 or the end of or beginning of 2026, the way that you pull this environment variable may be different. But the way that I did it today was environment variable values, pull in the values, ask for the schema name. So that's the exact name that you have here, var test YouTube. Pull that in, name it, and then ask for the value. And this gave me my YouTube URL. Now this may be very powerful. There are ways that you could use this. Maybe if you want a JSON, right? So when you look at environment variables, it's not just text. You have different options. You have decimal number, JSON, yes, no, data sources, secret keys. So maybe this is a secret key to your Azure. This is where it could be very powerful. So in Azure or AI models, right? In AI models, you always have these secret keys. And maybe you don't want to store that in your app, but you want to store it in your Dataverse environment. So therefore, if for some reason that key becomes corrupted or gets leaked, you can change it and you don't have to go in every app that you have and change it. So very powerful. Imagine if you had, hundreds of apps and they used this AI key and you had to change it and then you had to go in there and manually change every app. Nightmare. No, use an environment variable. Very powerful. One reason you may want to do it is for keys, passwords, naming your environment, certain URLs, portals, all good reasons to use environment variables. Let's keep going into collections now. Now I've had many videos on collections. So I'm not going to go into super high intense detail about how to use collections. If you want, you can search some of my videos or just ask me and I'll kind of lead you in the right way. But a collection, let's create a button for it. A collection is a set of variables or one variable that's set as a record in between those squiggly brackets. So we can collect or clear collect if you want it to be cleared every time. So clear collect, we can then collect some values. If we wanted to collect price, base price, and that is equal to the slider 1. So base price is slider 1 dot value. The base discount is slider 2 dot value, and the quantity is slider 3 dot value. Now, let's say we set these numbers up. We change these to our numbers. The base price is 500. The discount is 10. The quantity is 3. We can then collect. So now we're collecting a record of these values. So we're collecting all 3 of the values and we're putting them in a collection right here in variables. So if you come over here to the X, you go to collections, we can see my collection here and view it as a table. And if we don't have clear collect in there, so let's remove the word clear and just say collect, we can collect multiple times the records over and over and over again. So this has many different use cases and many different ways that I've had a lot of videos on doing it. But one main reason is maybe you don't want to write to your data source every time you click the button, but you change the discount, you collect. You change the quantity, the price, you collect. Again, collect. And you're not writing to your data source yet. You're not going to write to your data source until you're ready to. You'll write your collection in one call this time instead of doing it every single time. That can be a rather resource intensive. There's reasons you don't want to do that. Maybe there's reasons you do, but that's what a collection is. And this is going to be the most resource intense variable that we have right now. So you can pull from a collection, right? So if we have a value here, you can pull just the first value in a collection. So first, we probably actually need a table, but let's see if I can try and do this. First, my collection, and then we'll pull in quantity. So we'll pull in the first value here, which is 3. Let's change it to the last. It should change to 1. So now it changed to 1. You can see that there. Let's make sure that's nice and big. So you can pull in the first, the last, you can pull in the lookup. So in your collection, what do you want to look up? You want to look up when the quantity is equal to 1. And so then now you want to pull in the base price. And so you can see here, let's see, the first time it's equal to 1, it's 277. So there's lots of little techniques that you can do here with lookups. And when you do a lookup, you probably want to have some kind of unique value in here. You can do remove if, you can patch a collection, you can collect, you can do clear collect. So think about all these things you can do with collections. And if you want me to go into more detail, leave me a comment. I'll go into more detail about collections. I'm trying to kind of go over the basics of Power Apps and the Power Platform over and over again. And so today we went over 5 variable types. I hope this was helpful. Thank you all for watching. If you have any questions, just leave a comment. We'll keep going. I'm answering your questions. Thank you all for watching. My name is Andrew Hess. Happy holidays, and I'll see you soon.